Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics, They're Bad For You. Or if you're watching this on BitChute, Comic Freak. Today we're going to be talking how director Miguel Sapochnik was basically bossed around by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss on The Long Night. Well, I haven't actually seen that episode, but I can talk about how David Benioff and D.B. Weiss have been acting lately. So I'll do that. Miguel Sapochnik is the director who also directed The Battle of the Bastards, as well as a few episodes of Altered Carbon. Now, I can tell you that I enjoyed Battle of the Bastards when I saw it. But it's a real shame that Miguel Sapochnik was bossed around by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. Apparently, people have been talking that David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are just impatient to be working on movies in the Star Wars universe, and that they basically cut corners and basically bossed around their own employees, causing Season 8 of Game of Thrones to be incredibly under-directed and, well, underfunded as well. Basically, they made a mess of the final season of Game of Thrones, and it's real telling, as people are saying, if they just let Miguel Sapochnik direct the way he wanted in The Long Night, that at least it wouldn't have probably have helped the series at all, but maybe it would have put fans on a better foot when dealing with this season. Miguel Sapochnik goes on to say that working there was incredibly difficult, and that he had, at one point when he was directing Battle of the Bastards, he had been at work on the episode for a good 50 days. And thus it hurt his own marriage, and it basically exhausted him so emotionally that it took 6 months for him to recover from it. Now, all of this sounds like we're hearing just drivel talk from a way overly protected man who hasn't seen a hard day in years. But then again, I shouldn't really be saying that, because I have heard being a director is incredibly hard in Hollywood if you're trying to direct anything. But I still find it that he sounds like he's overly protected, and that he's just complaining about minor complaints. But then again, if you look at D&D, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, with their behavior lately, how they've even gone so far as to blame the fans, I've heard. I'm pretty sure they have. But then again, don't quote me. I might not be so sure of that. They have gone so far as to basically say that they gave the best product possible, and that it's clear from a fan watching it that they clearly screwed up by not only making the season so short and cutting out any character development because it was such a short season, all for their planned Star Wars movies, that they basically ruined Game of Thrones for anyone who is a fan of it, as well as anyone who would possibly want to watch it in the future. They've torpedoed a good portion of the fan base that actually enjoys and loves their work. If you hear other talk from Miguel Sapochnik, he tells that he wanted to kill Jorah in the first few minutes of the episode, because he wanted to hit home that this episode so that anyone can die in it. And D&D, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss refused his idea of killing off certain characters like that, because apparently David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, they wanted to end this season in a certain way. Now, I have to agree with what others have been saying, that is that they must have lost their instinct, because they must have been diverted on the prospect of working on Star Wars films, and they did not give the final season of Game of Thrones the full attention it deserved. So they basically made a bunch of decisions that caused them to look very bad in the eyes of the public, even though they said they did the best they could, and all of them who had actually worked on this season sound a little bit arrogant about how they were proceeding to do that. I mean, honestly, if you hear Michael Sapochnik, he sounds, as I said before, he sounds protected, but also incredibly arrogant. But I have to give him the benefit of the doubt that he was basically thought policed by D&D. And thus their interference caused him to not be able to direct the episode right, and not to even be able to have the special effects that he wanted in it. Because if you've heard other people say that the Battle of the Dragons was both dark and it was incredibly foggy, the battle taking place in the clouds, basically a save on CGI, so it would look better than what it really was. Here, we can see other people saying maybe people are still hoping that some will remake Season 8 with competent writers and showrunners. And I have to say, that's still a funny joke. People are just wanting people to acknowledge that this season was horrible and not a work of art like that was happened in earlier seasons. Okay, maybe not so much a work of art, but at least an incredibly good show, which this final season was not. They ruined the legacy of Game of Thrones. David Benioff and D.B. Weiss should be ashamed of themselves. They ruined their baby, and maybe some of this blame could be also put on George R.R. Martin by not having his novels finished for them to adapt. But I would also say that Michael Sapochnik also shares in the blame for this season, because he was directing a few episodes, or whether he directed The Long Night. If you read the title of my video, then you know maybe the Long Night should have been longer. In fact, make it such a long night that it would have taken up the entire season. Yeah, let's have the Night's King fight Cersei. I would have enjoyed that more than her being crushed to death by a dragon. Or rather, maybe, I don't know, have her be crushed to death by hordes of undead. Or maybe just have Daenerys, the Night's King, and Jon Snow versus Daenerys, who will go up against them with, I don't know, Megatron from the Transformers, or anything else we can fan fiction into it. It's just a joke there. But yeah, even me saying that would probably have been better than what they ended with this season. And Long Night, for all its faults, was just one more symptom in a series of mistakes that just made this entire season bad. Now, I did not watch The Long Night or any episode in this season. I'm only repeating to you all who would like to listen to me my own opinion on how they screw up this season. I have no intention of really watching this season, maybe because I don't have HBO. I got rid of it to save money, and apparently they're going downhill. I mean, look at Westworld Season 2. And as others have said, like Neurotic, mistakes like this will just cause genre films and genre TV to be diminished. People won't want to make it or even watch it because they're worried that it'll be another Game of Thrones. Another mistake caused by people who at first who loved genre and want to see better genre made, but end up becoming so arrogant with themselves that they end up destroying what they love. Now, my final thoughts. I think everyone involved who directed in this, they're all collectively to blame. And that's my opinion on this. Now, if you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you're not subscribed, please subscribe to me. Subscribe to Read Comics That Are Bad For You. As well, if you're on BitChute, subscribe to Comic Freak. And remember, hit that bell to get notifications for my future videos, and hit that like button and leave some comments down below. And keep checking back in future videos for more information on my own upcoming comic book, Scumdogs. I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.